at the end of senior 4. They are scored out of 80. So what the learner will get out of 80 plus what the learner got out of the 20% of continuous assessment, then will give us the final mark. Then there is project work, which is also scored independently.
What are those project works?
Project work means that if I've learned something, what am I able to make out of that? Like in chemistry, after learning chemistry, you can come up with a project of making liquid soap.
Okay.
Like history, you have learned about sources of history, how we can get different historical facts. What can you do out of that? You can make research and write a book about your school. Okay. So a project is evidence-based and it has 3 competences. There is planning competence, there is implementation, and then there is reporting. So you must plan, you must implement the project, you must also write a report about your projects. And all of those 3 competences are scored and submitted to UNEB. Now, for senior 4s, UNEB considered projects that we had done earlier before. But for these current senior 4s, UNEB gave us a theme, which is innovation for sustainable living. So we have already planned, and now we are at the implementation level. Between now and May, we are implementing, and the planning was done in term 3, in senior 3. So that is what we call the project. What product can you do, or what service can you come up with out of what you have learned in class? And it must be evidence-based. We use cameras, we use phones, because evidence must be there to show that this learner has performed the project.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, with this new curriculum, with all the activities that you've actually outlined, I would love to understand what is the difference from the gradings? I mean, do you think this new curriculum has a very big impact from how students were actually being graded before, in terms of impact on how students are built up?
It has got an impact because this curriculum now looks at what we call KUSABA. KUSABA is a learning outcome which stands for knowledge. We are looking at imparting knowledge into the students. We are also looking at measuring somebody's level of understanding. There is also what we call skills, values, and then attitude. So when you look at the continuous assessment, when you look at the project, when you look at the end of cycle exam, we shall be able to build somebody who is all round and holistic. So it has a very big impact in a way that we don't only depend on end of cycle exam.
Okay.
There are even those results that you get from school, like project and then continuous assessment, which contributes to 20%. Unlike in the past, that would only depend on what a learner has scored at the end of the 4 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, when we analyzed, of course, all these, the candidate assessment by the UNEB, we've realized that, in terms of aggregate, it was replaced by results. And is there any difference, of course, with the 2? Is there any huge difference in the gap?
Yes, there is a big difference between result and then the grades. Previously, we had the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then grade 4. For somebody to pass, needed to be in those 4 grades. Now, this time round, for somebody to pass, needs to be in result 1. And the result 1 means that a learner has fulfilled all the requirements for passing. How? That this learner did continuous assessment and the results were submitted to UNEB. This learner did project work and were submitted to UNEB. This learner has done end of cycle exams. This learner was observed under what we call subject observation forms.
Okay.
If you learned chemistry, how did chemistry impact you? If you learned history, physics. So we keep on observing, and all of those are submitted. And I want to congratulate the teachers and then the students, because it was not easy last year to see that all the students qualify to get result 1 by submitting all those results. It was a great work done with the teachers and the students to ensure that they are within the parameters of UNEB. Now, getting to the grading system, we are not looking at highest score only. We are also looking at how much somebody has achieved. How can you apply the knowledge learned in class and the skills to solve real life situations and problems?
Okay.
That's what we are looking at. So grade 1 means, or result 1 means that this learner did all the compulsory 7 subjects.
Which is result 1.
Yes, which is all the science subjects plus geography, history, English, and then any 2 you will select for yourself. And after doing them, you needed to have passed them with at least a D.
A D.
If somebody passed within those subjects with an E somewhere, then will qualify, but then it will have an impact. And if you score E, then you don't qualify. So, at least for you to qualify to get result 1, you must have scored at least 1D. So, all of those who are celebrating, they scored D and above.
D and above.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we need to analyze a little bit about the safe zone. If we were to discuss, what is the safe zone for the assurance, okay, in terms of the candidature who actually passed, and also the ones who've actually not failed in under the new grading? I mean, what is the safe zone?
Now, the safe zone is 1 to score 1D.
Okay.
In all the 9 subjects. As long as you score 1D, you qualify for result 1.
Okay.
And to be on the safe side, it starts from the school level.
Okay.
You must do activity of integration, or because there are many, we submit marks for activity of integration for term 1 senior 3, term 2 senior 3, and term 3 senior 3, and term 1 senior 4, and term 2 senior 4. Those are 5 sets of marks we submit. So for you to be in the safe zone, you must do all of those activities. And 2, do the project. 3, you must be at school to be observed. Because failure to submit any of those, you will not be graded. Yes. So to be in the safe zone, do all the continuous assessment and do end of cycle exams. Then also look at the way you select subjects. Are you within the parameters of UNEB? Don't just speak for the sake. There are electives whereby you're supposed to pick only 1 subject. In case you choose more than 1, then you will not be graded. Yes.
So now, before the new grading system, the public could know how a candidate passed because it was the system used over the years. But this time around, it's hard to tell. And how are actually people interpreting the results right now?
True, it is hard to tell, simply because we need a lot of sensitization.
Okay.
For example, how do we get there is the biggest problem. People are looking at the end result, and they are not looking at what are the processes to get there. And 2, people have been used to grades. They need to be explained. The Minister of Education must come out to explain. Why are we moving away from the division 1, 2, 3, 4 to now result? And when we talk about result 1, what do we mean? Some schools, some people I'm hearing, they are saying on social media that result 1 means a first grade. It does not mean a first grade.
It doesn't mean a first grade.
It only means that this learner has passed and has qualified to get a certificate of UCE, and the requirement is 1. Submit all the continuous assessment, then you do end of cycle results, and ensure that you score at least 1D.
1D.
As long as you score 1D, you have passed.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you're still watching the Education Forum. My name is Liki here. I still have the head teacher of Panorama Secondary School and also an education analyst talking to us this very hour. Well, I would love to ask you, I mean, how did your school copy with the new curriculum from the older? How did you transition and how did you find it easy or hard in that situation?
Yes, it was a hurdle, and I can not only akin it to my school, but to all schools.
Okay.
In a general perspective. Obviously, whenever there is a change, there is always resistance.
Okay.
More so, the teachers who are teaching the new curriculum are old teachers, and they were taught in the other old curriculum. They have been teaching in the old way, and so there was a bit of resistance.
Okay.
But after some time, out of the trainings organized by the Ministry of Education and Sports, we got to know what to do, and we are coping up slowly. And I just need to mention this, that we are all learners of this new curriculum because it is new. The students are learning, the teachers are learning, administrators are learning, and now it has extended to the parents. They need also to learn because now they are failing to interpret results simply because they don't know. They need to learn. Okay. So we had to organize a few things like research, because this curriculum entitles learners to do research because they must do a lot of things on their own. So we bought the tabs, and for us, every school has got tabs. These tabs, we load data throughout the term, and students can access them from the library and carry out their research. We got the textbook the ministry gave us, but we also bought some more and added in.
Okay.
We had to add on the furniture.
Okay.
Because the sitting arrangement changed, and even the space. We sent our teachers to be recruited by the Ministry of Education and Sports and National Curriculum Development Center. So out of those interventions, we have been able to cope up.
Okay.
But we have gone through a series of training. We have sent teachers, and assessment has also been of a big help. They have trained the science teachers. So through training, through buying tabs, getting textbooks, and also sensitizing the teachers on the ground to embrace the new curriculum.
Okay.
We have been able to cope up.
Well, if there's need for the Ministry of Education to sensitize the public about the new grading system or the new curriculum, what could be the best approach the ministry should really take at hand? The best approach for them to sensitize the public?
There are many approaches.
Okay.
We may not have an ultimate best.
Yes.
Because when you talk about the education system, you're looking at various stakeholders. Like the parents are stakeholders,
okay,
which is part of public, the learners, the teachers, and then the education administrators. So all of those people must be brought on board. Like teachers, we need to organize workshops more and more to retool them further. Then for the public, Ministry of Education and National Cultural Development Center need to come out and organize talk shows on TVs, on radios. They need also to get ambassadors to go to meetings for PTAs where parents have gathered at school for meetings and be sensitized. Okay. They need to be purely sensitized, either using the mass media, the print media, newspapers, and then audio-visual media, and then reaching to the parents during the time for annual general meetings. And they need to be told. And it is not work for the ministry also only. Even schools must do the same. Like for us last year, we organized, we called the parents of senior 2, 3, and we sensitized them and we taught them outstanding means what, basic means what, and they got to know and they got to interpret the reports. Can you imagine up to now, parents have failed to interpret report cards for senior 1, senior 2, and senior 3 because the way we report is different from the old curriculum. So we need to sensitize them. The ministry must encourage schools to call parents under what we call annual general meetings. Even on VDs, let the parents be gathered at least somewhere and they are taken through what it means by the new lower secondary curriculum.
Okay, as we continue talking about the UCE results, Mr. Edwards, talk to us. What could be the advantages and disadvantages of the new curriculum and the older curriculum? Do you think the new one is better than the older one? Digest into that and give us details.
The answer may be there is an advantage or there is no, depending on who is arguing.
Okay.
But personally, I see a big advantage with this new curriculum.
Okay.
That there are some coursework marks that a learner gets while he's still at school, which contributes 20%. What does that mean? That in case I am sick, when it is time for the end of the cycle for the senior 4 exams, and I don't perform well, at least I have some marks to start on from. The way it has been in the old curriculum for technical drawing and then fine art. They would do projects, coursework, and submit marks. Now we are submitting marks for all subjects. And that means that in case I'm not able to perform better in the end of cycle exam, at least I have some marks to start on from. Then the other old curriculum was only looking at the brain.
Okay.
Now this curriculum is looking at the whole person. It is looking at the brain, the heart, and then the hands, the skills.
Okay.
So its advantage is that there is no failing. Failing is very minimal because just imagine scoring only a D out of 9 subjects. You qualify to have passed. Unlike in the past, whereby if you would get many 9s, then you would have failed. But now it is easy to pass, given that there are even some marks that will submit to UNEB prior to the end of the cycle exams.
Okay. So many people.
Then the other advantage is that learners are learning to apply the knowledge they have learned in class to solve real life situations.
Okay.
Yes.
So
if you have learned work, can you do work? That's why there is the other observation checklist. Teachers will observe you out of what you have learned. Can you do something? Yes. So we learn to apply what we have studied in class to solve the real life situations.
And some people are actually comparing this new grading to A-level grading, and it looks a bit similar to the A-level grading. What is your thoughts on that?
It is not similar. Why can I say that it is similar? We have not looked at the transcript, how it will look like, because that paper that UNEB is going to release for every student will have an interpretation, because we just got blank B's. We don't know B stands for what, A stands for what. Some people are thinking that because in A-level we have been using A, and in A-level A stands for 6 points, B 5 points, C 4, D 3, E 2, O 1, F no point. That is for A-level. But now UNEB has not told us what it is going to do. Like when the executive director was releasing the results, they did not hint. A stands for what?
Okay.
Because you never know, and A can stand for distinction, B for D2, but we cannot preempt UNEB until UNEB comes up to tell us, because it is the only body that can tell us what they mean by an A at O level, a B at O level, a C at O level, a D, and then a E. I think what we have known is a E, is that when you get an E, you have not performed well, you are below basic. But the others, let us be patient and wait on for UNEB. When they produce the transcript, it will have those details, what stands for what.
Okay. Now, from the general performances that we've actually seen, science subjects like physics, chemistry, and declined in the new curriculum. And as an educationist, and also a person who has been in the system for quite some time, could you really tell us why science did not perform very well? Start from your school. I mean, how did you perform in sciences, and
On the
what do you think was the
contrary-
reason? Mm.
On the contrary, science was better performed this time.
Okay.
Out of the results I've looked at, my own results of Panorama Secondary School, Mukono, and then from the neighbors I've been able to see, there was an increase in the performance simply because the other marks for coursework that were submitted helped the passing. Then the project work. Then the teaching has changed. The way they teach science these days and the way it is being asked is far different. Remember we said that in this new curriculum, we don't ask questions. Instead, we ask scenarios. You come up with a scenario, and then a learner applies what he has learned in class to solve the problem in that scenario, because the scenario will have a statement, then an introductory statement, a problem statement, and then a support material. So if a learner has been attending class, will easily pass these science subjects. Again, science were more simpler than arts out of the experiences I've got from the students. So there was an increase in the passing of science as compared to the old curriculum.
Okay. Well, what is the ideal learning environment for a student to study or pass in your school? And given the fact that the older curriculum has its own way of studies, and you've also described, so many things related to, the new curriculum, what's the deal behind, of course, a good performance?
For us as Panorama, why we performed the way we performed, it's because I've already mentioned these things. We adopted and adapted very, very fast to the new curriculum. We sent our teachers for retooling, and they were all retooled. We got the textbook from the Ministry of Education and Sports, and then we also bought and added on. So when you go to our library, reading is made easy, research is easy, and the tabs, we bought tabs, research tabs. For us, we don't tell students that go home and ask your mom or dad to give you a phone you research. Everything is done in class. And as administrators, we have enforced that all our staff members, teachers, are there or follow strictly what the new curriculum tells them to do.
Okay.
We enforced project work to be done, and incidentally our projects, for us we scored A, B. There was only 2 C's, meaning that we did the right job.
Okay.
And the courseworks, continuous assessment. Why we performed better is that for us, assessment. In case a child has performed below the basic, then we would not say that let us submit this and the child finds it hard to pass in senior 4. We would call that child and re-administer a new continuous assessment.
Okay.
So we followed everything to the dot.
Let's talk about gender balance. We usually see comparisons, between candidates, female and males. Could you really, of course, tell us some of the factors why a particular gender would perform better than the other in terms of utilizing and implementing the new curriculum that you see right now that is going on?
Incidentally, I've always thought that gender doesn't have anything to do with the performance.
Okay.
But it depends on how somebody becomes serious, sets a target, and takes his or her studies. However, there is a shift nowadays that girls are performing a little bit more than boys. But that is automatic, because when you go to schools, girls are more than boys in schools. The numbers. Even look at the way we produce children. When you go to Mulago here or nearby hospitals, you realize that 2 boys are produced a day, and the other 10 out of 10, 12 boys, 8 are girls. When you go to church, you will find there more females. When you go to the market, so their number, their big number has made them to surpass the males in each and everything, because for them they are many in everything. And then when you look at this gender empowerment, they have only looked at the girl child, girl child, girl child, girl child, and the boy is left alone. Let me tell you, as we talk now in Uganda, there is a high dropout of the boys as compared to the girls.
The girl child, yes.
Even in the family, you will see that they will buy good things for a girl and they will leave the boy and say, for you be studying, we shall look at you later. So treating the females more spacious than the male has made them to outcompete the males in each and everything, education inclusive.
Okay. We continue to see by the poor performances, of course, of rural schools compared to urban schools. Why do you think this trend has actually continued that much in Uganda? Urban and also rural schools.
Actually, under this new lower secondary curriculum, urban schools are going to perform much more than the rural schools. Simply because of these reasons. Providence.
Okay.
Now, a school which is very far away from the last pole of power in that district cannot have computers that can be used for research. Such a school may even fail to have the tabs, the research tabs, because they don't have where to charge from. And yet this curriculum looks at research and hands-on skills.
Okay.
So gadgets for research may disadvantage the rural schools as compared to those in the urban areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there was an headline that we saw 2 days ago, of course, in one of the dailies, where they said there's a bit of a confusion on how schools are going to be selecting the ones that have actually passed. What sort of criteria are you going to use in this new curriculum to scrutinize the ones that have actually passed? And what sort of combinations is directed to some of the results that we've seen that is, being spread around, of course, in some of the dailies?
Okay. Selection for senior 5, that is on 20th and 21st.
Yes. How is it going to happen?
It is a bit unfortunate that UNEB, when they were releasing the results, they did not tell us A stands for what.
Okay.
Is it D1 and D2? Is it 60 points as it is in A level? However, what we need to look at is a student who has scored A is an exceptional student.
Okay.
Followed by one who has scored a B, a C, a D, and then that one who has scored E is below average, did not fail, but did not achieve the desired competencies.
Okay.
Now, when we are selecting, I think we are going to follow the old style. Let me guess that, because the ministry need to come up and guide the schools.
Okay.
What is bringing a controversy is that we have not yet seen the pass slip or the transcript, which I guess will have an interpretation of what does UNEB mean by A, B, C, D in terms of figures. However, we need this. If we are following the other old style, then it means that A, B, C, those are outstanding students.
Okay.
And like schools will first give subjects to subject combinations to those who have scored A and B. A and B. A and B. Yes.
So what happens to the ones that have failed? The ones who got D?
The ones who got D is not failing. By the way, the new curriculum, there is no failing. E.
E, yes.
Incidentally, that game goes back to UNEB, to the ministry, because they need to come up and tell us, because I listened keenly, but I did not hear the plan for those who scored below basic. And now that is a game for the ministry to come up and tell us those of E who did not perform to the expectations, are they going to repeat, or what are we going to do for them? Yes.
Okay. You're still watching UBC TV, and this is still the Education Forum. I have the head teacher, Panorama Secondary School, here talking to us here on your national TV. And this show airs every 4 p.m. On Saturdays. So continue watching as we wrap today's edition of Education Forum. I'd love you to also share with us some of your thoughts about the general, according to UNEB, there was a decline, of course, in the malpractice compared to previous years. Do you think this is attributed to the formation of the new curriculum, if I may ask?
Yes. Cheat malpractice is going to be erased out of the education system. How? The question is, the scenarios that are asked. Remember, in the new curriculum, we don't talk about questions, we talk about scenarios. These scenarios don't have definite answers.
Okay.
It is not like the way they used to ask us, why do we study history? Then you have the reason is they are taught year 1, year 2, year 3. It was a general knowledge that you cram. Now the new curriculum does not entertain cramming because it is looking at somebody being given a scenario. You read it, identify the problem, then use what you have learned to solve the problem in the scenario. So every student will interpret differently and will give different answers. So you cannot say that I'm copying for the students, because they will ask you that how is it that all of these responses are the same. So malpractice is going to be erased simply because we don't have definite answers and there is no cram work.
No cram work.
No.
Okay.
You don't cram answers.
Okay.
You think you get answers after reading the scenario. Yes.
So in order for us to improve the new curriculum, as the head teacher, Panorama Secondary School, what more do you think should be put in place to improve this curriculum, and so that it can be able to have a very big impact on the students and as well as the schools? What more do you think can be added on?
Yes, the ministry, all of the education stakeholders need to play their roles.
Okay.
One, the ministry. The ministry need to add schools more textbooks. The ministry need to sensitize further the public about this new curriculum.
Okay.
UNEB need to come up to explain what they mean and what is needed. The parents need to provide, like it is time for project implementation. There are some things that need to be bought by the parents so that children can use them to implement their projects. So every stakeholder needs to play his or her role in order to ensure that the curriculum moves in the right direction. The schools need to play their roles.
Okay.
Education administrators must ensure that the teachers are following and they are teaching the new teaching methodologies as opposed to the old ones. Okay. It is not a story of going to read notes in class. A teacher must go to class and provoke learners to learn by beginning a lesson with an activity or a question to stimulate them to think.
Okay.
So we must all play what we are supposed to play in our respective capacities.
Okay, as we continue exercising the new curriculum, also learning more about the gradings and the UCE results, what could be your last message to the parents and the viewers watching today's edition of the Education Forum?
Okay, thank you for hosting me. My simple message is that let us be patient. You see, Uganda is not, we are not experiencing changes for the first time. I'm told when East Africa was still doing the East African examination exams from East Africa Examination Board, in P7 they used to have 3 subjects. That was English, Math, and then general paper. And what was the grading system? They would get total what you have scored in science, I mean in English, plus what you have scored in math, plus what you have scored in general paper. And then they give you the total. And that board would put a pass mark that those who have scored 200 out of 300 qualify to go to S1. It was changed.
Okay.
And still things are moving in the right direction. Now there is a fear that when we change the way things are done in the education system, that the education system will go down.
Okay.
However, I don't think it is the case. Instead, we are going to improve more and more. Like the failure rate this time has been minimal. Let us be patient. Let us play our roles. Let us go to schools, dear parents. When we go to schools on visitation days, when we are called in the general annual meetings, let us ask schools and teachers to explain to us what the new curriculum means. I also want to call upon our superiors, that means our bosses at the ministry. Let them design mechanisms to make the common man understand the new curriculum and then the grading system. Dear UNEB, can we get the interpretation as early as possible? We request humbly. What does A stands for, B stands for, C stands for, and this or that we can ably explain to our parents? Because I've heard what some parents are interpreting is that result 1 means the first grade. So we need to get that. And perhaps maybe this is food for thought in the future. I did not see children being graded, meaning that somebody who is having A, B, has the same result with somebody who is having only a D.
Okay.
I request maybe food for thought in the future. Can we have grades like A, those who have passed in grade A, grade B, grade C, grade D, and then those who have failed in E?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. That has been the head teacher, Panorama Secondary School, Mr. Nantatia Edward. Okay, talking to us this very time around, of course, looking at the Education Forum on UBC TV. Thank you so much. He's been analyzing the UCE results 2024 under the new curriculum. Hope to see you guys soon. Continue watching UBC TV. And my name is Leaky Michael.